Welcome to Lost and Found Movie Edition, where Pop, Tot, and I sit down and review movies that were underappreciated or just gigantic box office bombs. First up is Matthew McConaughey's 2005 Sahara. Pop, Tot, this was your choice, and yeah.
Yeah, this is one of my, guilty pleasures. I have a long laundry list of movies that I often get made fun of for watching, and because this is a treasure movie, it falls in that category.
But it must have been a wrong time. My head is in a bad place, but I'm having such a good time.
Sahara stars Matthew McConaughey and Steve Zahn and Penelope Cruz, basically seeking a lost civil war ship in Africa. Yeah, you heard that right, in Africa, uncovering a deadly conspiracy with Cruz. Action, humor, mystery, and an exotic quest ensues. Its runtime is 2 hours and 4 minutes.
That summary was more entertaining than the entire movie. So when I set out to do this series, in the back of my mind, I was like, we need to figure out how these movies failed. And in the first 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, there's 5 screenwriters, and I have no clue what the hell the movie's about 10 minutes in.
Well, this movie, as many people know, Sahara is based off of a series of novels by the famous and prolific writer Clive Cussler, and based off of his main character, Dirk Pitt, this was going to be the new Indiana Jones, right? The studio cut Clive out from basically having any say in the scripts. He sued him. It was like 7 or 8 years. It went to the state Supreme Court, but the budget skyrocketed. It started out as an $80 million film, went to $100 million film, and then they spent another $60 million in distributing it. Yeah. Total for 106, and I think it made just over $100 million. And it was listed on the top bombs of that era. Mm-hmm. It did not do well, and I think it's got a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes.
An unmitigated disaster.
It's very unfocused. I mean, there's some genuinely good ideas in this movie, but the movie has a plot A and plot B that somehow interconnect in the most convenient ways possible. Plot A being finding the treasure of this ironclad Civil War Confederate ship that's carrying this very rare gold that I guess was made for, was it Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy?
Captain of the CSS Ironclad, Texas.
Plot B, which is about Penelope Cruz's doctor for the WHO trying to figure out where all these people are being poisoned by some super disease.
This is an outbreak, Frank.
We got 6 cases. That's not enough.
And somehow, some way, they converge in, like I said, the most coincidental, convenient plot mechanics I've ever seen in a movie. Right. It was very odd to me.
Yeah, and Africa, not that I need to tell our listeners this, but
yeah.
Africa is a big continent, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
They get a Dirk and his pal, his pal Al, they get into trouble, and then somehow, some way, they get on camels and find Penelope Cruz out in the middle of the desert again and save her yet again. And it's like, wow, that's a big continent for them to find her.
It's going to be super easy, barely an inconvenience. Oh, really?
Somehow, because, this ironclad was lost off the coast of Virginia, somehow went up, the Niger River or whatever, and was lost in Africa. And I was like, I actually really like that idea. It's so ridiculous that I like it, but it's just everything else just ran into convenience. You said, the
2 subplots, because you have the warlord, played by
Lenny James.
Lenny James. And then you have the French billionaire from the French guy from The Matrix.
Yep.
And he's conspiring with this warlord.
I thought your man was going to take care of them in Lagos.
Well, we had a problem.
And now the problem is mine.
And it just so happens that Frenchman's gigantic solar plant that is also using and not properly distributing toxic waste is also by the missing ironclad ship that somehow interconnects Penelope Cruz's WHO doctor to ironclad ship Dirk, who's trying to find it.
But I will tell you, again, since I do consider this one of my guilty pleasures, and I do enjoy this movie, there is definite chemistry between Matthew McConaughey and Steve Zahn.
Next time, you go.
The hell took you so long?
Hey, guys.
I stopped for coffee. You get a receipt? Yeah, I got a receipt and I got you one too. You're the best.
They say they've been together since childhood. They were SEALs at one time. Trying to picture Steve Zahn as a SEAL is pretty funny. It works, and I love the chemistry between them, and it sold me. I also love the soundtrack. The soundtrack to this movie is really good. Now it's stereotypical music that they pull for action movies and stuff. Together, it does make for a good movie background. But with that said, they use the songs for so much Matthew McConaughey bravado. Like
772-year engagement on the bottom of the ocean. Key!
I think I lost all my testosterone watching this movie. It's just any chance they got Matthew McConaughey was shirtless.
Yeah. The music was honestly my favorite part, and I kept pointing out throughout there was a lot of musical cues from like James Bond of all things, like maybe even slightly from Indiana Jones, but it mostly felt like James Bond to me.
That's how Matthew McConaughey, because apparently he took his own Airstream or something and went campaigning across the country to try to sell the movie.
I just found it strange because I think Matthew McConaughey is a good actor, but he's not a good action man. He does not. I actually found him to be extremely boring.
I understand.
And more often than not, action heroes are boring. Like, I cannot tell you a lot of Arnold's characters, but Arnold himself is so larger than life, and he's got the quips and the charm and the smirk and all that. And
This Green Beret's gonna kick your big ass.
I ate green berets for breakfast.
Right now, I'm very hungry.
Have you ever killed anyone?
Yeah, but they were all bad.
But McConaughey just doesn't have that.
Dude, Rudy! I shot a guy with a flare gun. Cool.
At least in this movie for me, it just, like, I honestly can't tell you anything about his character. He smells
Toxic waste damage.
I don't know anything about his character.
But let's talk also, and I'm going to throw a third thing out there that I did like. You know, you have William H. Macy in there. You have Delroy Lindo.
Yep. Excellent cast, honestly.
You do have an excellent cast. I mean, Delroy Lindo is a bit player in it, but he's still in it.
I'm not asking the company.
Yeah, you got some nerve.
William H. Macy's Admiral Sandecker is pretty good. And even in the last scene of the movie, you can tell they're wanting to build for a series.
Who decides who the good guys are?
You only do the jobs you want.
Yeah.
Like the government's like, oh, yeah, we're going to give you jobs. And he's like, oh, we only get, and you're like, this. When I first saw it, when it first came out, it's like, oh, there's going to be plenty of these come out. No, there was never another one.
You're shitting me. I'm not shitting on you.
That begs the question, why did this ultimately fail? The budget was too high, but even if you said, okay, we'll start out with the $80 million, it still really wouldn't have made its money back.
Like you said, you had too many cooks in the kitchen. There was so much screenwriting, and Matthew McConaughey, even in 2005, he was getting known for romantic comedies. He wasn't an action hero. And one of my other guilty pleasures, he started in 3 years later, which is Fool's Gold. It is literally almost the same treasure hunt, only different characters, and he's playing basically the same guy.
Yeah, man, this is what I've been looking for 8 years. 8 years.
Ironclad, Texas. Huh?
Where in the hell did you get this?
Frederico Sciatti.
It even has, Fool's Gold even has the retrospective opening. They both have an opening where the camera basically scans around a cabin, and I'm like, wow, they didn't even really try with Fool's Gold. They just tried to rebrand it and stick it in a different pot. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Fool's Gold in forever, but that was kind of one of my my early kind of issues is just trying to get this Dirk character established, and it took a really long time to finally see him and to finally meet him. And even then, I just didn't really felt any sort of attachment to these characters. And I think probably the biggest disappointment for me is just the way the action scenes were handled. The boat scene in particular, Matthew McConaughey did all of his own stunts, which props to him. But the way it was edited and shot was so damn jarring. There was like, he was fighting the one henchman, the big henchman on the boat, and it was like there was like 100 cuts, and I was just like, whoa, where's what's going on? Like, it's just like it was very odd.
An unmitigated disaster.
There was a lot in a few of the major scenes. There was a lot of cuts.
Yeah, it lacked a lot of the flow and the polish you'd kind of expect from that kind of budget.
Funny because you mentioned Matthew McConaughey doing the stunts on the boat. He did his stunts on the boat in Fool's Gold too, and there's literally a scene where he ends up on the bad guy's boat in both movies.
Yeah, I almost wonder if he just really liked the idea and then was like, well, it failed, so maybe if I have better, because in my mind, another weak part of the movie was there was just no chemistry between him and Penelope Cruz, which is ironic because they went up dating, which brings back to the famous Joey Tribbiani.
Look, the rule is when two actors are actually doing it off stage, then all the sexual tension between them is gone.
Car, dynamite, James chases in helicopters.
Yeah?
Yeah, he ends up doing Fool's Gold and has way more chemistry with Kate Hudson. They did a bunch of movies and stuff together.
We've got to completely stall out just before we hit the water.
Stall?
Stop flying.
Stop flying?
Yeah, and land.
That was a coincidence that we got up together and we're both going to bed because we're not going to bed together.
No.
I don't know. I like this movie, but I will tell you that as I get older and I watch it more and more, the more I get kind of bored by it.
Who else knows you're here?
No salt, no seasoning.
It's starting to lose its appeal on me. It's not dating well.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And it to me, it was constantly trying to find where the money was, and I just didn't see it. I was like, I don't see where they spent all this money on this movie, because even the action scenes weren't that grandiose or anything.
That's actually one of the things that was talked about in the failure of the movie is they had discovered that the filmmakers, because a lot of this was filmed in Morocco, the filmmakers were greasing a lot of palms over in Morocco and breaking U.S. laws.
Wow.
There was a lot of bribes being made for them to film in Morocco.
What's ultimately frustrating is that there was good ideas, and the most absurd idea of it all, this Civil War ironclad being in Africa was the one that I liked the most. And it just, them uncovering it was just kind of a coincidence during this action scene with Lenny James that went on way too long. Lenny James is a terrific actor too, most known by us anyways for Jericho.
Don't have any room for debate, so if you got any questions, now's the time.
Yeah, I got a question. Go ahead. How are we gonna find the bomb?
No idea.
And then he would obviously go on to be in The Walking Dead. I wish I saw more of him in here.
27 pounds each.
And most of his scenes are involving the Frenchman. We don't really get a whole lot of back and forth between him and Matthew McConaughey either.
They could have really eliminated the Frenchman's character and just had the warlord.
Yeah.
Like all movies in this realm of the older James Bonds, the French guy keeps Penelope Cruz's character alive for some reason.
General, an exchange of gunfire, most unfortunate. She's dead.
He's carrying her off in the helicopter. That didn't make any sense.
And that's a bad movie thing too, is just having either too many characters and or B, having too many villains. It's very popular in bad movies, and this one kind of seems to fall on both, because then you have
the State Department guy.
The State Department guy. You have William H. Macy, who I actually really like in this movie, but I always like. Then you have Rainn Wilson's character, who basically comes to the same conclusion as Penelope Cruz's character, so he's kind of pointless too. And yeah, so it's just like, I just feel like there's just a lot of shit going on. It's like, if we just would have trimmed some of this fat, it probably would have made it, not the best movie, but one of those solid action movies.
I guess as a treasure movie enthusiast, the only thing Dirk's main drive of the entire movie above and beyond was to find the Confederate gold. He found the Confederate gold, and he ended up giving it to the Tuareg people, and then he goes off with Penelope Cruz's character.
Yeah, you don't have that build-up, that build-up payoff of him getting the gold, and, this was what it was all for, and all that,
It's like this was like an obsession with him to get this gold.
Yeah, I mean, he basically went against the Admiral's orders and going off on his little adventures to find this information to get specifically this. So in conclusion, as we will do with all these reviews, we will discuss whether or not this is founded, which is us going out of our way, or you going out of your way to find it, streaming the $5 DVD bin that probably doesn't exist at Walmart, or leaving it lost in the streaming abyss.
Dustbin.
Pop Tot, what is your ultimate conclusion on this one?
Well, I'm going to say, if you haven't seen it, I would give it a watch. If you're into that kind of treasure hunting movie, I would give it a watch. If you've seen it, you don't remember it, you'll remember as soon as you start watching it, so I wouldn't bother.
Yeah, I think I'm along the same lines. I think it's worth at least watching. I really like the music. There's some cool ideas. Just feel like a lot of it is very unfocused. Like you said, it's one of those, this is only the second time I've seen it. The luster had already kind of worn off. So I don't know how far your mileage will vary. But be sure to let us know what you guys think. Next week is my choice, so be sure to stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and let us know, what did you think of Sahara, and why do you think it failed? And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, Tots.
Thanks, guys.